Imagine you own a massive, like, controlling stake in Coca-Cola.
Okay.
You've spent billions building the brand. It's recognized everywhere on Earth, right? It's the whole foundation of your beverage empire.
Right.
But then you open your absolute most prestigious, flagship restaurant, and you decide to serve Pepsi.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you do it because, behind closed doors, your head chef quietly admits that the Pepsi just pairs better with the meal.
That is a wild scenario.
Right. But that is exactly the scale of the contradiction we are seeing in the tech world right now.
It's a stunning pivot, honestly. I mean, we are watching the biggest players in the industry quietly walk away from the most famous artificial intelligence brand on the planet.
Yeah.
They're just prioritizing raw performance over name recognition.
And they're doing it entirely without the flashy marketing campaigns or, the viral hype cycles we've all grown so accustomed to.
Completely under the radar.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to cut entirely through that relentless marketing noise. We're looking at a stack of recent industry data, developer benchmarks, and a really insightful new article by AI thought leader Johan Steyn titled "The AI Platform That Didn't Need the Hype."
It's a great piece.
It really is. And we're going to explore why power users and even massive tech giants are migrating their workflows. We want to map out what this new landscape looks like, and more importantly, how evaluating your own tech stack right now could completely change the way you work.
Definitely.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand where we're going, we have to talk about the reality of using generative AI in the trenches today. Basically, the honeymoon phase is officially over.
It really is. I mean, the novelty of simply having a machine that can talk to you, that's worn off.
Yeah, the parlor trick is done.
Right. If we look at the daily habits of serious professionals, the demands placed on these tools have fundamentally matured. You don't just want a neat trick anymore. You want a reliable coworker. And that is where the cracks in the standard default models are really starting to show. We're seeing intense friction points in daily use.
Friction is the perfect word for it. Steyn's article highlights these incredibly relatable frustrations that power users are experiencing with the most famous platforms.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you give a clear prompt asking for a specific nuanced tone, and then 3 messages later, the AI has completely ignored you.
It just forgets.
Yeah, it just reversed back to that hollow, robotic corporate speak and, endless bullet points.
The bullet points.
So many bullet points. Or worse, the context just evaporates midway through a long conversation. You spend an hour building up a complex project, and suddenly the AI forgets a core rule you established in step 1.
Which is incredibly frustrating.
It feels more like troubleshooting than actual collaboration. Oh, and then there's the introduction of advertising on some of these platforms.
Right, Johan Steyn points that out too.
It instantly shifts the vibe from a focused professional workspace to, a crowded billboard.
Which completely disrupts the state of deep work.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we're witnessing is a failure of the underlying architecture to adapt to sustained, complex workflows.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, standard conversational models suffer from what developers call attention dilution.
Attention dilution.
Yeah. In a long chat thread, the AI is constantly trying to weigh the importance of every single casual thing you've said against your core original instructions.
Oh, I see.
Because it treats the entire conversation as one long linear sequence of tokens. The signal it gets lost in the noise. The model literally loses focus.
Think about it like a brilliant, eager intern.
Okay, I like that.
On day 1, this intern completely wows you. They work at lightning speed, they've read every book in the library, and you're thinking, this is going to change your life.
Best hire ever.
Right. But a year later, you realize this intern has some incredibly frustrating habits. They stop listening to your specific formatting instructions. They constantly forget what you were talking about 20 minutes ago, which forces you to repeat yourself.
Constantly repeating yourself.
Exactly. And when you ask them to write a heartfelt letter, they hand you a sterile PowerPoint slide.
With bullet points.
With bullet points. And to top it all off, they start leaving sponsored flyers on your desk.
Yeah, you wouldn't keep trusting that intern with your most critical, high-stakes work.
No way.
You'd have to micromanage them, which completely defeats the entire purpose of hiring an intern in the first place.
Right.
And this exact frustration is driving the quiet migration we're seeing. Professionals are hitting these architectural walls, so they're packing up and moving to Anthropic's Claude.
Anthropic. Okay, let's talk about them.
Yeah, so Anthropic was founded by former researchers from the biggest AI labs who intentionally stepped away to focus on a different set of priorities.
They weren't just trying to build the next hype machine.
Exactly. They weren't optimizing for viral social media screenshots or, conversational party tricks. They were optimizing for depth, accuracy, and enterprise-grade reliability.
And the data totally backs up that they succeeded. We're not talking about a fringe group of early adopters here.
No, not at all.
A March 2026 benchmark from Tech Insider shows that approximately 70% of developers now prefer Claude for coding tasks.
70%, that is a massive majority.
It's huge. That is a massive majority of the most technical, demanding users on the planet. And Analytics Vidya, in their own recent March 2026 head-to-head comparison, concluded that Claude specializes in coding and reasoning in ways that save professionals from the actual financial cost of repeated errors.
Well, because for a software developer or, say, a financial analyst or a legal researcher, an AI hallucination isn't just a funny quirk you post on Twitter.
Right, it's not a meme.
No, it's lost revenue. It's 6 hours of debugging a script that should have worked the first time. It's a literal compliance violation.
Yeah, the stakes are way higher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These power users need a tool built for the work that matters, which means they need an architecture that doesn't drop context.
Let's get into how it actually achieves that, because the feature set driving this migration is pretty remarkable.
It really is.
The first major shift is something called projects. This allows you to load up to 500 pages of reference material into a dedicated, persistent workspace.
500 pages.
Yeah, so the AI enters the chat already knowing your brand guidelines, your historical financial reports, or, your entire code base.
It creates a bespoke foundation before you even ask your first question.
Wait, if context evaporation is a huge problem in long chats, isn't loading 500 pages of reference material just going to overwhelm the AI even more?
That's a very fair question.
I mean, usually when I give an AI a massive document, it just loses the plot entirely.
That's a very common assumption, and it's exactly why this migration is happening. What's fascinating here is the underlying architectural difference in how Claude processes that information. It's not just about having a bigger memory box. It's about how that memory is structured and retrieved.
So it's not just cramming more text into the prompt.
No. Instead of forcing the AI to reread your 500-page document every single time you ask a new question, which burns through processing power and scrambles its attention, Claude uses a sophisticated form of context caching.
Context caching, meaning it stores it differently.
Yes, it holds that structural data in its short-term memory as a distinct layer. It literally separates your foundational knowledge base from the conversational back and forth.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. The model's architecture is specifically tuned to treat those uploaded documents as immutable ground truth. So when you ask a question, its attention mechanism doesn't have to weigh your new prompt against the entire 500-page history linearly.
It just references the cache.
Yeah, exactly. It zeroes in on your prompt while referencing the cache data flawlessly.
Ah, so standard chat is like trying to build a house while someone keeps handing you random updated blueprints every 5 minutes.
Yes, perfect analogy.
You eventually build a crooked wall. But Claude's projects feature is like pinning the master blueprint to the wall. It is a permanent anchor. No matter how chaotic the construction site gets or how long you talk, the foundation doesn't change.
Exactly. It allows for instruction following consistency, which is the holy grail for serious professionals. It can hold a specific tone or voice exactly as requested, even 50 prompts deep into a session, because the rules of that voice are pinned to the wall.
That makes total sense. And it goes beyond just text, right? There's also the artifacts feature.
Yes, artifacts are huge.
Instead of just spitting text back at you in a chat window, it generates live interactive outputs. You ask for a data dashboard, and it literally builds a working rendered dashboard right there on the screen that you can interact with and tweak in real time.
It's basically shifting the experience from generating text to generating actual software interfaces.
Which completely collapses the time between having an idea and seeing a working prototype.
It really does. But, the real game changer for enterprise workflows is the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
Right, this is the bridge. Explain how MCP works, because this seems like the final piece of the puzzle for developers.
So before MCP, if you wanted an AI to interact with your company's actual data, You had to build custom, brittle API connectors for every single application.
Which is a nightmare.
A total nightmare to maintain.
Mm.
The AI was essentially trapped inside its browser window. But MCP is an open standard. Think of it like the USB port for artificial intelligence.
A USB port for AI. I like that.
Yeah. It allows Claude to connect directly and securely into your actual working environment. It can read your Google Drive, your Gmail, your Slack channels, or your local development environment,
Just pulling in exactly what it needs.
pulling in the exact context it needs at the moment you ask a question, without the AI provider secretly training their future models on your proprietary data.
It's giving the AI a secure read and write pass to the messy reality of where your work actually lives.
Precisely.
Okay, so developers love it, power users are migrating, the architecture is fundamentally different with context caching and MCP. That is all significant.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting, because to understand the true seismic scale of this shift, we have to look away from individual power users and look at the biggest, most dominant tech player in the room. We have to talk about Microsoft.
This is the industry milestone that validates everything we've been discussing today.
It's massive. So in March 2026, VentureBeat reported that Microsoft is integrating Anthropic's Claude directly into its Copilot platform.
Yeah, quite the plot twist.
Specifically, Claude is going to be the engine powering something called Copilot Cowork. And this isn't a side project. This is the centerpiece of Microsoft's Wave 3 rollout. GeekWire even noted this multi-model approach is the cornerstone of their new high-end E7 enterprise licensing tier.
We really need to pause and appreciate the gravity of that business decision.
Let's go back to the Coke and Pepsi analogy from the beginning. Microsoft has a multi-billion-dollar, highly publicized foundational investment in OpenAI.
Right.
OpenAI is the creator of the most famous AI brand in the world. They are practically synonymous.
They are the default.
Exactly. For Microsoft to choose Claude, a direct competitor's model, to power its flagship, highest-tier enterprise feature is a stunning admission. They are quietly acknowledging that for this specific, critical task, the competitor's engine is just better.
It is the most credible endorsement Anthropic could possibly receive.
Seriously.
And it proves a fundamental shift in the industry's trajectory. We're moving decisively away from blind brand loyalty and towards a right model for the right task philosophy.
So why Claude? What is Copilot Cowork doing that requires them to make this switch?
Well, Copilot Cowork is what we call an agentic feature.
Agentic.
Yeah. We are moving from generative AI, where you ask a question and get a text response, to agentic AI, where you give a goal and the AI autonomously executes it across multiple steps.
Okay, so it's actually doing things, not just writing about things.
Exactly. Microsoft looked at the demands of Copilot Cowork. They needed an AI that could autonomously pull raw data from a messy Excel sheet, analyze the trends, draft a comprehensive Word document summarizing those trends, and then synthesize a nuanced email to the executive team.
That is a lot of steps.
It is. And it has to do all of that without making a catastrophic reasoning error in step 2 that completely derails steps 3 and 4.
They couldn't afford the intern dropping the ball halfway through the task.
No, they could not.
They needed the seasoned professional who actually remembers the instructions from step 1.
Precisely. For that specific, complex, multi-step reality, Claude's reasoning capabilities and context caching made it the superior engine. If an agent fails at multi-step reasoning, the entire enterprise value proposition just collapses.
And because Microsoft is embedding this into the enterprise tools that millions of organizations use every single day, this stops being a debate for, like, tech nerds on Reddit.
Right.
It becomes a global business reality.
A reality that touches every corner of the global economy. When Microsoft rolls out an upgrade to their enterprise licensing, it instantly transforms business operations worldwide.
Yeah, the scale is hard to comprehend.
And, Johan Steyn's research specifically highlights the impact on emerging markets, heavily focusing on the African continent and hubs like South Africa.
Oh, that's interesting. Why specifically there?
Because for institutions, policymakers, and businesses there, leveraging the Microsoft ecosystem is a core strategy for a global scale.
Right, because they can leapfrog legacy infrastructure entirely.
Exactly. They aren't tinkering with standalone web interfaces. They are deploying enterprise agents to scale their operations without needing massive traditional human overhead.
It's just baked into the tools.
Yes. Claude is no longer a fringe preference you have to go out of your way to find. For a company in Johannesburg operating on the E7 tier, advanced agentic reasoning is now just an embedded reality in the software they already pay for.
So what does this all mean for you? You're listening to this, you have your daily routines, and you probably have a tab open right now with your default AI tool.
Most likely, yeah.
How do everyday professionals break the habit of just defaulting to the most familiar brand name?
It requires a conscious, really ruthless audit of your own workflow. The core takeaway here is that the AI platform that didn't need the viral hype earned its enterprise trust purely through performance.
Performance over hype.
Always.
Yeah.
You have to evaluate your tools based on what they actually deliver in the real, messy complexity of your professional life, not on which one is the most recognized logo.
You have to ask yourself if you are paying a friction tax.
A friction tax. I love that. That's a great way to frame it.
Right.
Are you spending more time fixing the AI's formatting than you would have spent just writing the document yourself? Are you constantly reminding it of the context? Are you exhausted by micromanaging it?
If the answer is yes, you are paying that tax.
Yep. Breaking the habit means running a genuine pilot. Take a complex, multi-step task you do every single week and run it through a model built specifically for reasoning and context retention, like Claude, instead of your default. The sudden drop in time spent troubleshooting is usually all the convincing a professional needs.
It's about demanding that your tools work for you, rather than you working to manage your tools.
Well said.
Let's recap the journey we've been on today. We started by looking at the end of the AI honeymoon phase, how the initial awe of a talking computer has really given way to the very real, very frustrating realities of attention dilution, generic outputs, and shifting platform priorities.
The intern got sloppy.
The intern got very sloppy. Then we explored the quiet triumph of Anthropic's Claude, understanding the actual mechanisms behind its success.
Yeah.
How context caching in projects creates an immutable blueprint, how artifacts generate live software instead of just text, and how the model context protocol securely bridges the AI to your actual work environment.
The USB port.
The USB port. And finally, we saw how that commitment to accuracy culminated in a massive industry plot twist. Microsoft choosing Claude to power its agentic Copilot Cowork platform, which proves that performance has officially outranked hype on the global enterprise stage.
It is a remarkable evolution in how we interact with software. And this raises an important question, something that builds on the very nature of these new agentic features we've been discussing.
Okay, what are you thinking?
We are rapidly entering an era where tools like Copilot Cowork can autonomously execute complex, multi-step tasks across a suite of applications.
They're doing the heavy lifting, pulling the data, formatting the reports, drafting the communications.
But historically, executing those complex, multi-step tasks, doing the grunt work, struggling with the synthesis, manually formatting the data, that is exactly how entry-level professionals learn the foundational mechanics of their industry.
Oh, wow.
Right. That friction is how the intern slowly becomes the expert. So the provocative thought I want to leave you with is this. If AI seamlessly handles all the multi-step groundwork today, how do we train the human experts of tomorrow? If the machine does all the practicing, how does the human ever build the muscle?
Wow. If the brilliant intern never have to struggle with a broken spreadsheet at 2 a.m., how do they ever develop the intuition required to become the CEO?
Exactly.
That is an incredible point to ponder, and a whole different kind of friction we'll have to navigate in the future. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive. Look closely at your tech stack this week. Look at the magic tricks you've grown accustomed to, and ask yourself if it's time to demand a little more utility and a little less sleight of hand. Stay curious, keep evaluating, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.